50 blades of grass, getting all the dirt. Welcome to the July 2024 meeting with John Martin. Good morning, John. Nice to have you spend a little time with us.
Thank you.
We'll get right into the program. One of the first questions that came up, and it comes more from the walkers of the course, and they wanted to see if we could have, I guess what we call a mow strip from the tee box out to the fairway. And I really didn't take a peek to see if Six still has that issue, but are you mowing those strips on all of the holes, or what's the procedure?
No, and it's really an optical or an optics kind of approach. Does it fit with the hole? What tee do we tie into the fairway with? Historically, is there a reason why some of them don't have a mow strip or a dew path? Only because of maybe topography or inability of a mower to keep it maintained.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're all doable, but can we do it?
Yes.
And we really haven't. I mean, we've added a few or cleaned up a few. We've widened the ones that are out there existing now, but there are definitely a few holes that don't have them. 18 in particular, 6 doesn't have it. Some of the other holes that really aren't conducive to it. We would never put one down on 17 only because of the path is right
Oh,
there.
yeah. 17 would be a real critical one. Did you say that number 6 does have it now?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
We had looked at that. Do we take it from the black tee? Do we take it from the silver tee? What lines up better? To the eye as well. It's got to look
Yes.
right. Otherwise, you'd have just an odd angle going into feeding into the hole.
I would agree with that. I guess in number 6, to me, it would appear that if you did it from the black blue and you went straight down, and kind of the people on the next tee up could just kind of walk over and join that.
Right. So if we went from the black and blue tee, it would follow the right side of the fairway pretty much. It would hook up but otherwise we'd have a diagonal pass that's going into the middle of the fairway.
Yeah.
Again, it's just an optics thing. Does that look right, or is that you like it to look natural, like it was really well intended, but otherwise it just looks like a strip you just wanted to mow down, and that's it.
Well,
Plus, there's also some drainage in. I'm sorry about number 6. There is a drainage path there as well.
okay.
So
Well, just if you can just kind of keep that under consideration and do what is obviously best for all the factors you mentioned, that's all we could ask for.
okay, yeah,
Great.
we've got a list, Jim.
Okay, good. Now don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell to get notified when new podcasts come out. Thanks for listening. The next question was those broken tee boxes. Some of the holes may not have them. Can we provide those just to kind of keep it clean?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, most of the time we should have them on all the par threes. But any other tees that need them, we can provide them.
Okay. The next question was a little bit more complex, and it really dealt with I guess really the 18th tee box and how it's difficult to navigate down the fairway. I don't know if you have some suggestions for the walkers. The pathway seems to be a little bit slipperier for them, so they have a tendency to go on the grass. But do you have any thoughts on how we can improve that or make any changes at all?
Short of a handrail, is that?
Short of a handrail.
That is difficult to navigate as you leave that gold tee box. I mean, it slants diagonally off.
Yes.
Right. Even our mowers have a difficult time mowing that area.
Right.
And irrigation is actually tough on that bank. Let me look into that, Jim, because see if we can. I mean, I don't know how if the concrete is somewhat slippery and in certain conditions, the turf would be just as slippery if we cut it down
Yes,
shorter and,
right.
that type of thing. But let's look into that. Maybe we can come up with some option. I'm not really quite sure as far as something to do with our mower. Again, it's pretty. If you've walked it, I'm sure you have. It's pretty rough conditions going over
It's,
there.
it is in rough condition. I know that you've lined it out. In other words, provided those ridges to reduce the amount of slippage. But maybe some grit, adding grit to it, but just some thoughts.
Okay.
I realize it is a kind of an issue. Maybe that's not the right solution either.
Let me,
I don't want to go to a reverse rope tow line like they have at the ski areas. But cautiousness is probably important. Next question was, we've really had some very hot weather and so on, and the course is still looking great. How is the course fared during this hot weather period?
well, we're no doubt going to lose some cool season turf. Some of the POA that fades and some of the ryegrass struggles. I mean, typically the shorter rooted species are, pose a kind of a challenge during the heat. We don't necessarily want to just pour on the water because the golf course will be just soaking wet.
Right.
Plus, we have car traffic and the issue of compaction, surface compaction, and everything else like that. Scalding, scalding damage from carts, even our own mowers. But I think overall, as we did lose some turf, we did have some issues with our field irrigation satellites. Hot weather plays havoc on solid state equipment.
Mhm.
So we lose some control sometimes. Some things don't water, components act up. So we had a little bit of that happening. Our weather station acts up. It doesn't communicate. We have to go and reboot it from the weather station. So the weather's certainly played, and it's typical. Anytime we get successive days over 100 degrees, that's what's happened.
Right.
That's what happens. But we want to be very mindful of, just the amount of irrigation we put down. I mean, greens might get a little softer only because our ETs call for it, but we still have to adjust. I mean, we don't want to cause problems on the greens themselves. We don't want to create humid conditions, disease issues, things like that. So we do get a little more footprinting when keep in mind, with the exception of 6 and 11, and
Yes.
13, these greens are old push-up greens. That water's got to go somewhere. And when the water doesn't infiltrate through, they start to get a little soft.
Yes. Yes.
So, but I think overall the greens have fared pretty well for, the 14 days of 100 degrees we had.
Mhm.
So,
Well, and just to pass on the membership continues to complement the condition of the course and the work that you and your team have done. So kudos to everyone involved that you're doing a great job in that area. I want to touch on one other topic that you brought up recently in the Green Committee meeting, and that's the killing of the POA. I noticed a couple of people mentioned on those greens where you can see all the white blotches. I immediately tell them that that's not a disease or a problem. It's we're a very active program to kill that POA. And you may have some comments about that, but I think that's what that patchiness is like on number 11, I think was one of the holes, if I
Yeah,
remember.
number 6 and 11 green. So we use a product that's selective to annual bluegrass. And what that essentially does, it'll allow us to, as the POA declines, it allows the bent grass to fill in. But we still have to be aggressive on our end with continued sand top dressing on those greens, allow that bent to fill in those holes. And unfortunately, because of the amount on the greens, it does take a while. And
Yes.
the best time of year is actually this time of year. The bent's more aggressive, the POA starts to naturally decline.
Mhm.
So we're just pushing it along.
Yeah, okay, good.
I mean, I mean, it's how far do you want to go? Because we want to, try to keep 6 and 11 as pure as possible.
Hmm.
We don't want to have it turn into another number 13.
Right, yeah. 13 is a collage of different colors. I guess the last point, and a lot of people have been asking me, I know we're not going to memorialize the practice area and just kind of put a fence around it and look at the beautiful work, but when will it open? And also maybe what's the insight into why it's going to open at that particular schedule?
We're looking at mid-August at this point. Um, we still have a long way to go in terms of the green surface as we groom down, verticut, sand. We're still scalping at the heights we're at. We actually mow greens on the golf course itself at 110 as a number. We'd like to get the new practice green areas down to 110, but we're actually at 225 right now. So that takes a little time. It takes a lot more grooming, rolling, verticutting, spraying, everything to get it tighter, get more vertical growth in the stand. It just takes some time. The heat kind of sets us back a little bit, but the rest of the turf is doing pretty good.
Yes.
Do have a lot of detail issues to clean up around the perimeter of that site. There's property line issues. We've got some sodding to do on the back end. I just want to make sure it's solid when we open it up.
Okay, great. All right, well, people are going to be waiting anxiously. It's a big improvement over what we had in the past. So, well, John, that does it for this month. Thanks again for taking the time, and we'll catch you next month.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Bye. Now, don't forget to send me those questions. That makes this podcast go. So remember, send them to this email address right up here. Thanks again for your help. Now, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell to get notified when new podcasts come out. Thanks for listening.